My pleasure to bring on Nora Murphy today to talk about NoraMurphyCountryHouse.com.
Yes,
and
thank you.
how you got to this place of designing around a country house in which you live, built in 1767.
That's right.
Beautiful house. Do you know much about that house? If you go all the way back to 1767?
Well, British citizens built the house, which is very cool. I love
Yes.
to always celebrate that for the 4th of July. But
Any ghosts?
Yes, there are.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so let's talk about Nora Murphy.
Okay.
You grew up here
In Fairfield.
in Fairfield. You end up at FIT at some point.
Yes.
Let's go to FIT. You study what?
Interior design.
And what
Loved
happens
it.
from there?
From there, I graduated and at Radio City Music Hall, which was very cool.
Well, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, that's
that
a whole.
Art
Yeah, I know, it's
Deco
really good.
splendor.
It's really good.
All right, so you graduate there.
And then actually I went to work for a renderer, an architectural renderer down in Greenwich Village. And when I went to interview with him, he said, "Nora, do you know how to do airbrushing?" And I lied and I said, "Yes, of course I do."
You learn really quickly.
Yeah, I taught myself really fast. And I worked for him for a few months. And then I ended up coming back to Connecticut and I worked for Wayside Furniture of Milford.
I'll be
if you
darned.
remember.
I absolutely do remember it. So interior design was always in your blood?
Always.
As a little kid, you did what?
As a little kid, actually, you know, when we're talking about country house too, my mom, when I was like 4 or 5, worked for a woman, Mrs. Gilman in Southport, who had this gorgeous 18th century house, huge colonial on Sasko Hill Road. And Mrs. Gilman, for her birthday, her husband built her a Cape Cod style house for
Well, of course he did.
I know. Love him. And he built her a house for her, an artist studio. And my mom helped Mrs. Gilman whenever she was entertaining. So as a little girl, 4 or 5 years old, I would tag along and my mom would, you know, place me to the side and I would just watch. And this little Cape Cod style house was wonderful because it was comfortable, it was casual. Mrs. Gilman was running around, but again, it was like artsy. It was all these wonderful stories my mom would tell me, and I just felt so at home there. I don't remember what the interior of the big house was like, but I remember very clearly the little house.
It's the miniatures.
It's
that you
small,
kind of like.
cozy, quaint, warm, inviting.
Somewhere along the line, you end up working for Ethan Allen.
Yes.
And you go up the ladder and you end up where?
At Ethan Allen, vice president to executive vice president of style and advertising. And that was really wonderful because it opened me up to a lot of different parts of Ethan Allen. Met incredible people, incredible brand. Took me around the world, went to China, went to France. A lot of travel, which I really, really loved. And it really was a time of reinvention for Ethan Allen. And Farouk Kathwari, my boss, really was wonderful, who gave me kind of free rein to go, Nora, you know, let's take it forward.
Was this around 2008 when the economy just kind of fluttered?
Yes.
That they were reinventing,
Yes.
as everybody was.
Yes.
So you're sliding along with your interior design background as a little kid, FIT, you work for furniture stores, you end up in hierarchy at Ethan Allen. At what point does Nora Murphy say, gee, I really love this, but I think I want to go on my own and do something? What light bulb goes off in your head?
I think I've always wanted to do something on my own lifestyle. I've always had very definite ideas. I think Ethan Allen, I feel like what I'm doing now and what I'm creating is a culmination of so much of my career. From the rendering right after FIT to Ralph Lauren, where I really learned about a lifestyle and who lives here, and creating an attitude that everybody can understand immediately, to Ethan Allen. And I feel that it's all come together to this point, and then I felt like it was time to leave the corporate world.
So you leave, Nora.
I
Are you
leave.
scared to death?
Yes.
Okay, you're scared to death, and you decide Nora Murphy Country House, based largely on the country house.
Yes.
And about the salt box in which you live.
Yes.
And we have a picture
there we
here.
are.
Yes, the house is on the right-hand side.
Yes.
And if we scroll through this
The homepage?
homepage,
Yes.
we have lots of little things that we see, recipes, and we see flowers, and we see pie dough. And right away, I think Martha Stewart, but you would say Martha Stewart, but?
Martha Stewart, from the point of view, I have always admired her, from when she started the entire lifestyle genre. I want to say she and Ralph Lauren, both. Great respect for them both. But I'm not, because I'm very different. I want to say I feel that my interior design background is really what drives me. And maybe I touch upon the Martha Stewart role from the point of...
It's the recipes
how-to.
I love on your blog.
Maybe it's more holistic, where in other words, when you go into a home, what appeals to you? To me, it's the five senses. What does it look like? Design. What does it smell like? What does it taste like? When you have an event, there's certain things you would make something for a dinner party different than you would for,
Correct.
a birthday
And you
party
said you
outside.
weren't crafty.
And I'm not very crafty.
I don't know if I believe you, but
Yeah.
we have another picture of the salt box that we're talking about.
Okay.
Built in 1767 that we can put
Yes.
up. And there are a lot of pictures around this house. And here it's decked out for the 4th of July.
Yes.
This looks like a dollhouse to me. And you live in this house with your husband and your son.
Yes.
And I'm assuming it's always changing. I'm
is.
just assuming this, that you can walk into a room one day and then you fastidiously put this over here and there's a chair over here and the couch gets moved. I know your husband's sitting behind me and maybe he's laughing. But is it constant moving to try to show what it's like to live in this historic country house?
Well, it's very simple, and he'll tell you it's Murphy aerobics, we call it. We always are
okay.
concerned about our neighbors watching us. They call the Murphys moving another piece of furniture. We are constantly moving furniture, and I'm such an antique nut that every time I bring something in, I've got to like re-swizzle my floor plan. And also I do decorate my house as far as the seasons go. Rugs go down in the fall and the winter, spring they come up. My house plants, I have everything from topiaries to humongous rosemaries. They're inside all fall and winter. Spring, everybody goes outside for their summer house. So it changes. And whatever's blooming in the garden, that gets cut, that gets put into big buckets.
Isn't this the way we should live
Yeah,
anyway?
it is. Yeah, it is.
It's just getting back to basics. Before we started taping, I talked about the mason jar.
Yeah.
It's all about the mason jar, and it's about, that can be a vase, it can be at a wedding, it can hold toothbrushes, it can do all kinds of stuff. So you are building this country house lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It's NoraMurphyCountryHouse.com, and you've got a blog. It's about Connecticut, it's about this kind of living.
Yes.
Where are you going with this, do you think? Because it's about a year down the road now or so?
Yes, it's been a year. Connecticut Country House blog has been about 2.5 years,
mm-hmm.
and the website is 1 year, the magazine. It's been wonderful. 87 countries are tuning in.
Why, do you think?
Because I think the country house concept is a universal one. When I was in China for Ethan Allen, the Chinese have all different kinds of residences. They start with an apartment, get a larger apartment. It's kind of like they build a real estate portfolio. So they work their way to a country house. When we first launched this magazine last year, a dear friend of mine, November Rawlings, put it on her Facebook page. And one of her friends has family in Norway. And she said, again, I do not know this person, I just know she's November's friend. And she said, Nora, wait till you see the Norwegian country house, particularly at Christmas. It's different than the German country house. She goes on to tell me about the lavenders and the blacks and the whites and the beautiful colorations. And by the way, if you want to come, I have a place for us to stay.
So you could go to country house to country house to country house and shoot photos.
Isn't that cool?
You won't live long enough for all the photos.
I know.
And I'll tell you, it's the photos on here that is drawing people in. The sunflower, the house, the flags. You're combining decorating, gardening, cooking, baking, entertaining, antiquing. And I said to you, I want to get in the car with you and go antiquing someday. That would be great fun. Also, something that resonated with me when this started, and it all started in my childhood home in Connecticut on a suburban street named Melville Avenue. My parents survived World War II, fled their homeland, and believed in the American dream. With very limited means, they bought an old house to renew so that they could create a beautiful world for their 2 young daughters. My parents nurtured our imaginations as we transformed the television room to a full-scale classroom, a très chic boutique in the enclosed front porch, or a Barbie high-rise on the main staircase. Having raised 3 daughters, the Barbie high-rise on the staircase I can totally relate to. Yeah.
There you go.
So as you're building this, I asked you, do you think you're going to have a hard copy magazine to the online version, to the blog? What's coming, do you think?
I need it because lots of my readers keep writing me, Nora, I need to hold this. So what we're working...
In a world where magazines are failing,
yes,
we still need to have something tactile, I think.
Well, what we're trying to do for fall or winter, the latest, is to do, actually I may change to a different site that will put the blog and the magazine on one page. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a little more interactive, and then have a PDF printout for folks who would like to download it. We also are thinking of getting into e-publications, mm-hmm, because if you think about the country house lifestyle, we've got, how many different subjects can you cover?
So that means you're going to write a book.
Yes, and I'm working on that.
And you're
also.
only one person.
I know, but you know, as Murph knows, and my friends know, it's the more I do, the more creative I feel.
It's just evolving.
It is evolving, and it's really good.
Leaving corporate life and Ethan Allen, might it be that you might figure in somewhere back down there, down the road again with them, designing something for them? It's my idea, I realize.
Well, I don't know. Right now, Ethan Allen is a client.
You're a consultant to them.
I'm
now.
a consultant to them. The president, CEO, and chairman, Farouk Kathwari, had asked me to come and advise on style, which I'm very happy to. I love the brand. I love the people. I love the products. I'm not saying that, I'm not being paid to say that. It's just, I've been with Ethan Allen for so many years. I started as a freelancer, designing sets for their advertising that showcased beautifully their collections, to, as you know, you had asked about being an executive vice president. Now going back as an advisor, I feel like I'll probably always be connected with Ethan Allen somehow, which is fine by me. But I feel right now it's really good timing with what I'm doing and where they're at. I think it's like the best of both worlds for me right now. So I like it, and I feel that's like creativity begets creativity.
Was it hard, because I ask this of a lot of folks,
Yeah.
because as they reinvent and change and innovate and become entrepreneurs, walking out the door, going this on your own, was it a good thing? Was it one of the best things you did, even though it was really hard?
It was a very hard thing, yes, because it challenged me to reinvent myself. And I feel at this point, I'm in my 50s, and I always felt, it's very weird, I've always felt growing up that somehow I was going to hit my stride in my 50s. I don't feel that even being an executive vice president, Ethan Allen was it. Like, it was fantastic, but I always felt there was more for me to do. And maybe that's me talking as an artist and a designer, that there's just so much in my head that I want to do, that I feel that going on my own is a way to really achieve that. And it's been amazing because I have met the most amazing people in this path. I'm really excited about the future.
I am too, and I love the pictures. I gotta tell you, on the salt box and everything that you're doing, because I think it's getting back to basics. And I'm glad you're going to do a real magazine, because I want to put it on the coffee table. I want to thank you so much for coming on. And right before I go, I just want to hit one thing: homemaker, 2 words.
Yes, that was a blog that my friend Mary Fellows and I started after I left Ethan Allen. It was a time where I'm like, how do I get my feet wet again? So Mary and I put our heads together, and we're like, well, let's start with homemaker, 2 words. And it was a really good experience because I'd never done a blog. I mean,
the hardest thing to do in a blog is start.
Well, and I didn't, you know, we had a webmaster who did the site, and then when something went wrong, I burst into tears because I thought, I don't know how to fix this.
I'm right there with you, sister. It's daunting. So you start Homemaker, 2 words.
With Mary, and we did it for about almost a year. And a little before the year, and Mary is a person, if you knew Mary, she has her fingers in so many pies. She's one of the most amazing can-do women I've ever met in my life. I felt that I really needed to create my own gig, my own path, and not lean on Mary. And it was a wonderful way to start, but I felt that I needed to really listen to my own voice and go my own way. And again, it really was a wonderful way to get things moving again. And then I started Connecticut Country House. Again, could not believe that that domain name was not taken.
I can't either.
I know.
And that was 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
And that was, yes. And I thought to myself, anytime I mention Connecticut Country House to anybody, they immediately get this amazing romantic thought of like Christmas in Connecticut and White Christmas.
This bucolic.
Bucolic, yes.
Yeah, look.
And I'm like, okay, that's okay. You know, that's nice. And I like the idea of kind of like painting the picture of a refuge. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with Country House too. Let's face it, things are so crazy out there. It's wonderful to have a place that you can go to and you can have your friends and family and kick back and be comfortable and safe. And it's all pretty and feels good.
Well, Nora Murphy, you're on your way. NoraMurphyCountryHouse.com. Thanks for coming on, and I can't wait to see what's next with you.
Thank you. I was so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.